Good morning. Today we're going to be speaking about linguistic devices. As you know, this is part of the assessment objective 2 of your English exams. When you know the devices really, really well and you can identify them and you can explain and analyze them, you will get your whole grade is bumped up because of your knowledge of the linguistic devices. So let's straight away start with alliteration. As you know, this is an old one you've been learning from Key Stage 2. An alliteration is the repetition of the consonant sound to create a particular effect. That effect might be to emphasize the beauty of something, or maybe to emphasize the danger associated with a particular, setting. It could be to enhance or sort of portray or depict brutality or danger or anxiety or fear. In this case, let's have a look at it, at the picture. A beautiful butterfly settled on a flower. Now here, it could be written by the writer to really emphasize how beautiful the day was and what a lovely spring morning it was. Likewise, with the sunflowers in the picture, if a writer said, fragrant flowers decorated the footpath as the girls skipped along to the beach, we know that fragrant flowers is the alliteration, and it's used to really enhance perhaps how beautiful the day was, how beautiful the flowers were, how happy the girl was as she skipped looking at beautiful flowers. So have a look at what is being written about and how the alliteration actually creates the effect or even emphasizes the effect of what is being spoken about. Next, I'd like to go on to the sibilance. Now, you do know that the sibilance is a repetition of the S sound. Normally, the sibilance is used to sort of create a sinister tone. It might draw the reader's attention to the danger or the threat that perhaps is going to happen later on in the text, any sort of disaster. In this case, slowly the snake slithered across the sand might suggest that perhaps there's some sort of hidden threat or, some sort of negative tone being created as a warning to characters, as an indication or a prediction for the reader or a hint for the reader, and to prepare the reader for something later that will be taking place. Right, the next thing I want to speak to you about is the personification. Now, as you know, the personification is normally used by writers when an object or an animal is given human qualities, right? Now, this means that something is portrayed and depicted as if it has a life of its own. In this case, as we can see in the example in front of you, the jagged mountain peaks scan the area for any intruders. Now, here, we know full well that mountain peaks don't have eyes to scan or to look around, but it's creating the mountain peaks to be quite formidable, quite challenging. Perhaps they're looming over the whole terrain in quite a threatening way, in a menacing way that's almost like soldiers guarding a fort. So here the mountain is given the human qualities of looking around and watching and guarding the area. So that is your example of a personification. Another one could be the sun smiled in the sky this morning. There as well, really an indication that the writer is creating or depicting an atmosphere that really shows how beautiful the day is and how happy everyone is, perhaps a very positive, optimistic tone and atmosphere being created. Right, intensifiers is a tricky one, and sometimes it's really hard to spot. So intensifiers, guys, these are the words that are used to really exaggerate the effect of something. So if I say that he was critically ill, critically would be the example of the intensifier. So they actually strengthen or they reinforce the emotional impact of something. So if I say it is extremely cold today, extremely would be the example of the intensifier. It does have the hyperbolic effect of exaggeration, and it definitely enhances and emphasizes the effect of what the writer is saying. So here, extremely dangerous forest fires fringed the whole coastline. So here, extremely dangerous would be an example of an intensifier, again, to really strengthen the effect of something. So look out for the intensifier. It was an extraordinarily beautiful day. Extraordinarily beautiful would be the day being, really, really exaggerated, emphasized to show what a lovely day it was, for example. Then your dynamic verbs are your continuous present participle verbs. These verbs are verbs that end in ing, that depicts continuous motion and movement and action, normally brings a lot of action to the text. It might show struggle when a character is running or, gasping for breath, or perhaps struggling, holding on to something for dear life, like just say a girl clutching onto the edge of the boat and screaming, "Help, help." Now that would be an example of your dynamic verbs. That's your clutching, screaming, running, gasping, panting for breath. That is definitely your example of dynamic verbs, which again show struggle, continuous action. It picks up the pace of the text. It might build up the tension or even create more tension in a text, which definitely contributes to the whole story, or the whole, sort of progress of events in a text. Right here we see the eagle clutching onto a rattlesnake as it flies across and soars through the air. Right, then we have pathetic fallacy. Pathetic fallacy is one of those very beautiful linguistic devices. And in a pathetic fallacy, the writer uses both the weather and setting to create a particular atmosphere and tone, right? And the pathetic fallacy definitely also can be used to foreshadow probably sinister or negative events to come later in the text. As we have in Macbeth, when the witches met at the beginning and they said, "When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?" Straight away, thunder, lightning, and rain is an example of pathetic fallacy, as it sets the tone, it creates setting. Shakespeare has used weather, and this already foreshadows the downward path of destruction, the negativity, the murders that Macbeth would be actually committing later. It already sorts of prepares the reader for the tragedy in Macbeth. So look out for pathetic fallacy. Remember, it's weather and it's setting. And also remember that pathetic fallacy can be used structurally as well by a writer to foreshadow and create a particular kind of atmosphere and tone. I do hope that you found this lesson useful today, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if there's any specific topic you would like help on, do leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.